Okay, viewers, this is Dr. Von, Dr. James Von, and right now I'm at my usual location that I covered 2 days ago. That's the SIS building there, the MI6 building right behind me, across the River Thames. Can you see that? And that's been obviously popularised. It is very windy here, and last time obviously it wasn't a good recording on the sound because of the wind and the gusts. So I might have to speak up a bit more. And I was mentioning that building, of course, and it's popularised by that, that movie, the James Bond movie, and even the Millennium Wheel was in that. I think that was The World Is Not Enough. Remember that one? I think it's around about 2000. And it starred. Who did it start? I think it starred Pierce Brosnan in that movie, and he's obviously doing a stunt going on a boat or something on the River Thames, and he comes out of that building after getting some money from Bilbao in Spain, and it explodes. Obviously, it reacts. The chemical reacts, and the money explodes. Then he goes after the perpetrator on the boat, the speedboat. If you can call, he's actually born in Northern Ireland. That guy, Pierce Brosnan, and he obviously did Malcolm TV shows. I think it's Remington Steele. That's what he did. He's a kind of PI in that, private eye detective. Before he became obviously James Bond. And what do I need to say about that? Yeah, like he's born in Northern Ireland, and obviously he became James Bond 007 in that film. I'm on the Vauxhall Bridge now, by the way. I'm walking across the Vauxhall Bridge, heading towards the Albert Embankment. So that's over 2 decades ago, isn't it, that movie?
Should we set up?
So he wasn't English born, obviously. Roger Moore was probably English born. He actually died in Switzerland. He had a property in Mons. Mons Kranz. That was where the hotel fire occurred. That was in the news, if you can recall. Recently, it's been in the news. That's the area where he lived. He also had a property in Gstaad in Switzerland, a bit up north, and he used to commute from there. But the Mons Quintana, that location, obviously, was where he had a residence. But he also had a residence in Monaco, and he used to spend quite a lot of time there. Actually, he was buried in Monaco. That's Roger Moore. So that's his burial ground anyway. Monaco, a very wealthy country, that is. One of the wealthiest countries in the world. And there's the Millennium Wheel. Can you see that right behind me? I don't think the camera can pick it up. Whereas Sean Connery, late Sean Connery, he was cremated and his ashes were scattered around his designated places around native Scotland. Because obviously he was born in Edinburgh. He was from Scotland, and that's where his ashes were scattered. So he has been cremated. Even Cary Grant was cremated as well. His ashes were scattered in the Pacific Ocean. As well as Jack Lord. You know, the Hawaii Five-Eye guy, one who gives a twirl on the balcony scene. And he appeared in the first James Bond. I think he was Felix Leiter in that one. In the Dr. No one, he was the Felix Leiter. That was Jack Lord, and then he became obviously Steve McGarrett in that TV series, Hawaii Five-A. His ashes were scattered, I think, around his Hawaiian home. I think he lived in Hawaii, see, I think. That's where his ashes must have been scattered. If not there, then the Pacific Ocean somewhere. So there's that building there. talking about hostile takeovers. Where was James Bond? Obviously, he's a fictional character. When my house was nicked, my council house, my mother's council house, it was nicked, seized on the 26th of April, 2023, and I was rendered homeless, and I was forced to sleep in my car, which I got in the nick of time, fortunately, and that was my only place of abode. That was my Peugeot 207 SW estate car, and sadly that failed the MOT last year in May 2025, and I had to depart with it, and I couldn't get the faults repaired. It was too costly, not on my minimal income thrashing, and barely surviving, of course, and benefits ain't enough, put it that way. Nowhere near luxury style like Bond, obviously. He's a spoilt brat, obviously. I don't wish to say that, but obviously, relativistically speaking, in terms of cash flow, income, resources, access to cars and hotels and properties, and even women for that matter. They just jump to it, comfort women, geishas, even in the hotel room, in Hong Kong, remember that scene? Keep the champagne on the ice. Bollinger 62, just surviving, eh? And he's obviously not on benefits, surviving on benefits, crappy benefits, which have really gone down in real terms due to the rising cost of living, and they haven't really matched the rising cost of living. So in real terms, you're feeling the pinch in your pocket and on your expenses. You have to cut back everywhere. Even coming up to here to London is a struggle for me. And obviously, like I said, I had my car. It was scrapped last year. It failed the MOT on the power steering and also on the offside suspension. And as a result, I sold it for petty cash. And I had it scrapped. I sold it for scrap for petty cash. And also, more sadly, I lost my mother last year as well, and that was before the car failure on the MOT. So I lost the car, and also my mother, a grandmother. She was being held captive at the Harperfields care home in the Solihull district, Vauxhall Common, I think that's the area. She had a fall there as well, fractured her hip, and that's what must have had a big effect on her, and it was a major operation she went. Although she's had 2 knee operations as well, she was a real fighter, but she had stacks of life. Obviously, she was being held captive there. They didn't return her home. She sadly died there at the age of 81 on the 4th of January 2025. It's because of her being taken away from the house, from the council house, that I was rendered homeless ultimately also further down the line. She was taken out of the house on the 24th of November 2021, and she was the main tenant, obviously, responsible for paying the rent there. So they removed the main tenant, and that's what jeopardised my stay there in that house on Vine Street, number 105. And Coventry County Court sent vile eviction orders to me on behalf of Citizen Housing Group based in Birmingham. And they seized that house. That's a hostile takeover, and there was no James Bond or anyone to put them, to stop them. And they want people to become vigilantes, innit? Take the law into their own hand, probably, and then serve time. And no one's got the time these days to serve time. I've spent 3 years, for going back to see my kids and my family house where I used to live, not the council house where my mother lived, but where my ex was. She's removed me from the house through the Coventry family courts 2 separate occasions. 2008 and my kids, and then 2016 in April 2016, 3 months before Terry Wogan died. Terry Wogan, if you can recall, he died on 31st of January 2016, and about 3 months down the line in April, I was served eviction orders from the Coventry family court to get out there, leave my kids. It's a nightmare, obviously, and I just directed those orders, and that she could do it twice to me, but It was proven that she did do that. She picked up the phone and obviously dialed 999, please assist. She erupted like a volcano when she saw me there back at the house. I would have just collected my valuables and would have went home. So that's that anyway. I won't be going back to her. And my kids have sadly grown up without me. I wasn't able to raise them. I wasn't able to raise my own kids. My oldest was only 10 years old when I left him, and he's now 20, obviously. And the others, they're a few years behind. They're teenagers now, obviously. So they've been raised without me, their dad. That's what they do. That's the local authorities there. Just for going back to the house, obviously there's a bit of mix-up there, and who was there at the house. So I was served Section 20 GBH. The next thing you know, I was in a prison hellhole serving that sentence. And when I got out, I was told I could live at that place. My mother's house, her grandmother, on Vine Street. That's the only place I could go to and live. That's where my probation was carried out, actually, successfully. And then after the COVID, of course, that's when things got a bit difficult. They removed her from the house, and that's ultimately what led to my eviction as well. And they seized that house. That house was worth 100,000, 200,000 minimum. We would have got that house for next to nothing, because obviously under the right to buy scheme for council houses, she'd lived there over 40 years, paid the rent there, so we would have got the maximum entitlement. So they were worried about me becoming successor there. It wasn't exactly Buckingham Palace or Sandringham even, I was going to inherit. But I lived there the second most after her. So they nicked that house and they stole it from us, fiddled it away. They didn't put the tenancy agreement on my name, even though I was requesting that. And at first they were willing to do that. Then obviously they changed their line. They didn't want to do that. And I went through that horrendous ordeal. 13 months in my car. Although I had my freedom, it was never as bad as going to prison, even when I was rendered homeless. Prison was the worst experience of my life, without a shadow of a doubt. And everyone says that I didn't need to be imprisoned. That was completely wrong of them. They could have saved a lot of money as well. They could have put me on electronic tag or restricted my movements, like they did in COVID, remember? When I got out, they had COVID and people's movements were restricted. They could have done that with me as well, saved huge amounts of money. Obviously, that guy there who works in there, he's a military man. Obviously, he uses the 00 license to kill her. He's a military man. He's not a civilian. I'm a civilian, by the way, if you're not aware of that. I live in the civil society, and that's what they did to me. And there was a hostile takeover as well of my place, and nothing happened. I was making these videos on YouTube, like I said, on those 5 multi-platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, or X as it's called nowadays, on those 5 multiple platforms, and for 5 years now. And during that time I was rendered homeless. During that time I was on social media. So social media didn't rally, or I didn't get my message across. Okay. Okay, that's national security there, across the Vauxhall Bridge, River Thames there, if you can see. I'm not going to go up to that, obviously. James Bond doesn't work for MI5, by the way. That's a different character. He works for MI6. That's why he's on international missions as well. Overseas missions, that is. He does come in now in the London office. Moneypenny and them ones, and M, of course, or C as they call it nowadays. The new incumbent is a woman, actually. For MI6, the director. Her name is Blaze Metrowallen, something like that. That's the sort of name she's got. They call her C, obviously. They don't call her M anymore, because she's a woman. Remember Q? Technical person, allegedly saved James Bond. Q branch, and is that queers? Buggers, buggerers. Experts in buggering, innit? There must be, innit? Queue for queers, innit? And it is about location, and money. So on that message, I'm going to just give you my bank account details. I don't know if you can hear me now. There's a lot of wind blowing now. That's National Security there, MI5 over there, across the bridge. I don't know if you can see that. My camera might not be able to pick it up on the front camera. They're very close to MI6. Obviously, they must liaise with each other, exchange of information, locally and of course internationally, isn't it? The whole wide world, isn't it? So I'm on the Albert Embankment. I'll give you my bank account details. If you want to send some money over, donate as much as you want, and don't hesitate. That's all I can say. Even £1, £2, £3, £5 is all accepted by me. That's GB pounds. So do make it worth it. You know, at least a minimum of £1 if you can donate, and upwards. Obviously, a fiver, £10, even that's recommended. And the sky's the limit. As much as you can pay me as much as you want. There's nothing there stopping you. And I will give you my bank details. I'm at Tesco's now, where I was before, and I'll give you my bank details once again in this video as I go through Tesco's. Obviously, you could help me out with my shopping in it, my travel expenses, etc., etc. So I'll give you my IBAN number first of all. International bank account number is GB84 HLFX 110212 14 11 25 66, and the BIC Swift number is HLFXGB 21F28. And if you're in the UK, you just need to use my quoted sort code and account number, which is sort code 110212 and account number 14 11 25 66, and just set up a simple bank transfer. That's how easy it is to send me money. I've done it myself, and some people have donated that way as well. So easy. Help me out. You know, I'm struggling obviously on finances, so I'm doing this voluntarily at the moment because obviously I'm not paid enough. So this is my volunteering line. Okay, I'll end the video now. So remember, donate as much as you want. Help a struggling guy, you know, on social media. Dr. VOND, Dr. James VOND at the Tesco Express on the Albert Embankment on the 14th of March 2026, and it's a Saturday. I'll just get that in there.